Um, Welcome to Minister Harris, I think, joining us here today. And thank you to Senator Lynn Ruane on bringing this up with us here today. It is such an important topic. Senator McGreehan, very important to, as you've done there, to speak very freely about the experiences that you've had as well. So thank you for that. This motion is on bullying and sexual harassment. And you know, it's incredible. It's at third level. Third level, imagine when you think of it, our colleges and places where we go, for our minds, you know, to open up, to be challenged, for us to have new experiences, to explore and discover. And it is such a special time. It makes you the type of person that you are. And it is so important. You know, when I think back and I think about how fortunate I've been to have had an incredible experience myself as a student, and then to think that there are so many that have gone through and had these experiences. And yes, I've heard anecdotally as well, you know, about people who've had these experiences, who have had to move, and it's shocking, absolutely shocking. I suppose what I would like to say is that our students and staff having these experiences, it's a huge impact on their lives, on their careers, I suppose, you know, eventually on their mental health. And as a member of the Mental Health Committee here in the Oireachtas, you know, I will stand very tall about how we make sure that that is protected within our colleges and universities. Minister, as you would well note, and I'm sure you very much support, it is not acceptable to have NDAs to silence bullying. And it's not acceptable to have NDAs to silence abuse and equality grounds, and it's not acceptable to have NDAs to silence anything to do with sexual harassment. It's not acceptable either, as you've mentioned, Senator Ruane, if people are moving on to different careers and different institutions. You know, that cannot be possible. And I suppose it's very important that we have the initial forms of a survey that you've conducted, but perhaps it would be very useful to have a wider survey, you know, taking in wider samples across all of our universities and our new technological universities. It is a very precarious nature in third level, and I suppose as a previous researcher, you know, in the universities, I know that it's contract work, and you know, you can get 6 months work, or you could get work for a year or 2 years. You could be working with a research team, and there's great research teams out there, but these are very niche areas. It's a very small world. If you're in a particular area of research, it can be a very small world, and so your career is very much dependent on good recommendations, on your word of mouth. And so it's very difficult for some of those people to come forward with this type of experience. And I think, Minister, you're probably very conscious of that as well. I suppose maybe just to point out, Minister, that some of the things that I do see that are heartening to me in the last year is that, you know, a year ago we had no provosts or presidents that were female, none, in the universities. And yet now we have 4. We have 4 that are coming forward. So we know that we have an interim female president, Kirsten May, in the University of Limerick. We have Professor Linda Doyle in TCD. Again, we have Professor Maggie Cusack in Munster and Professor Eva Lenonin, apologies for the mispronunciation, in NUI Maynooth. I suppose what I just want to point to here is that change has to happen from the ground up, you know, from our students and everyone, you know, our staff, but also that we have key people in positions of authority and decision makers that are aware and are able to act. And I think it's bringing more balance to our leadership within our university structures. I know, Minister, as well, I was very glad to be able to meet and to see some of the research team in NUI Galway on the active consent programme. That's been rolled out now. I think that this, again, is part of this behavioural change that we have to see that has to happen, and it is behavioural, and it has to change. That active consent initiative in NUI Galway, that's where they work with both students and staff. And, you know, there's information talks for staff, parents, or community groups, consent workshops around for third level colleges. They're also using drama and different types of educational resources to reach people and to target different groups. And I suppose they're also then looking at working with schools and youth groups in terms of research and development. In the Education Committee, we have just recently rolled out the education report, report on bullying at primary level and at post-primary. And it was shocking to me that there's actually more instances of bullying seemingly in primary school than in post-primary. But it shows that this behaviour, this idea that you can somehow manipulate and abuse people, that has to be changed and has to happen at a very early stage as well. So all I can say is that report is coming out from the Education Committee. I've just come from that committee meeting today, and the Minister Foley has indicated that there will be measures rolled out to support anti-bullying, tackling bullying within our primary and post-primary sector. So it is really crucial that we're tackling that from a very early stage. Minister, I suppose you have just also launched the Unmute Consent campaign campaign. Again, I think it's really important that we communicate that we share that we work with our students' unions to ensure that that message has been rolled out, and that people feel safe to come forward. I also know that we have that number 50808 for any students or staff, anyone really, that has a concern, to be able to text someone and to speak in confidence, and I think that's really crucial. Minister, I look forward to your response. I know that you will be very supportive of Senator Ruan's measure here as well. Gurmil Magat.